The Social Security Administration just confirmed it. A lump sum averaging $6,710 is going out. And if you spent any part of your career working as a teacher, a firefighter, a police officer, a federal employee, or in any state or local government job, there is a real possibility that one of those checks has your name on it, and you do not even know it yet. In the last several weeks, the SSA has been depositing thousands of dollars directly into the bank accounts of people who went to bed one night expecting a regular Social Security payment and woke up to find a lump sum they were not fully prepared for. Money that represents years of benefits that were quietly taken from them and are finally being sent back. But here's what the headline is not telling you. There is a very specific profile of person this money belongs to, and millions of people who assume they are on the list are not, while others who have no idea they qualify may be missing a check that is already in the system with their name on it. There is also a tax situation attached to this money that has blindsided beneficiaries all over the country, and lawmakers are scrambling right now to fix it before the April 15th deadline. But that fix has not happened yet, and if you received this money or are about to, your tax return this year could look completely different because of it. And if you have not received anything yet, and you believe you should have, we are going to tell you exactly why that might be, exactly what to do today, and exactly what to say when you make the call. 4 things. Stay with me through all of them. Because this is the kind of update where the difference between watching the whole video and clicking away early could literally be the difference between collecting thousands of dollars or leaving it sitting in a government system unclaimed. Before we go any further, I want to be direct with you about something. The 6,710 figure we just mentioned is not an estimate, and it is not a projection. It is the SSA's own confirmed average, published directly in the agency's official data on retroactive payments made under the Social Security Fairness Act. The payment totals, the recipient counts, the eligibility rules, everything we are covering comes from primary sources. And the only place we are going to flag uncertainty is around the tax legislation, because that situation is still developing in real time. What we are not going to do is waste your time explaining things you already know. We are going to move fast, we're going to be specific, and by the end of this video, you are going to know whether this money belongs to you, why your tax bill may be higher than you expected, and what your next move is if you have not received anything yet. Let's go. Here is the short version of what happened, because this is the foundation everything else stands on. For decades, quietly, consistently, without most people realizing it, the Social Security Administration was reducing or completely eliminating benefits for millions of public sector workers using 2 provisions buried inside the tax code. One was called the Windfall Elimination Provision. The other was called the Government Pension Offset. Together, these 2 rules did one thing. They took Social Security money away from teachers, firefighters, police officers, and federal employees who had pensions from jobs that did not pay into Social Security, and they did it month after month, year after year, for the entire time those people were collecting. A teacher in California who paid into a state pension her entire career but also had Social Security credits from a second job, watched her Social Security check get slashed using a formula that was never fully explained to her. A widow in Texas who had never worked in a Social Security covered job but expected to receive survivor benefits based on her late husband's 40 years of covered work, discovered her payment had been reduced to 0 by a provision she did not know existed. On January 5, 2025, Congress passed the Social Security Fairness Act and the President signed it into law. Both provisions eliminated entirely, retroactive to January 2024. And the moment that happened, the SSA began the process of calculating how much money it owed to 2.8 million people and sending it back. That is the 6,710 average lump sum. That is the check. That is what is going out right now. And that brings us directly to the question every single person watching this video is asking. Is mine one of them? Let me give you the clearest possible picture of who this money belongs to. If you worked in a government job where Social Security taxes were never deducted from your paycheck, meaning you looked at your pay stub and there was no FICA line, no Social Security withholding, nothing. And if you also have Social Security entitlement, either from your own work history in a covered job or through a spouse who worked in a covered job, then you are exactly the person this law was written for. The states where this comes up most often are California, Texas, Ohio, Illinois, Louisiana, Massachusetts, Colorado, and several others, where large portions of the public school system and certain municipal governments operate entirely outside of Social Security. Federal workers hired before 1984 under the old civil service retirement system are also in this group. So are the spouses and surviving spouses of people in these categories, particularly widows and widowers who were told their survivor benefit was zero because of the GPO and simply accepted it. If that describes you or someone you love, here's what the numbers look like. By July 2025, the SSA had distributed more than 3.1 million payments, totaling $17 billion. And the average lump sum came in at $6,710. But that is the average. Some beneficiaries received far more. For people with longer work histories, higher pension amounts, or cases that involved both the WEP and the GPO, individual lump sums in the range of $15,000, $20,000, or higher have been reported by financial planners working directly with affected clients. Going forward, the monthly benefit increase is just as significant. Depending on your specific pension amount and how severely the WEP or GPO have been cutting your benefit, your ongoing monthly Social Security payment may now be hundreds of dollars higher, or, in some survivor cases, may now exist at all when it was previously zero. For most beneficiaries who are already in the system, the SSA processed these adjustments automatically. No new application required, no forms to fill out, no phone call needed. The money was calculated and deposited directly to the banking account on file. But there is a catch, and this is where the energy of this story shifts. The tax situation attached to this lump sum is something thousands of beneficiaries are discovering right now as they sit down to file their 2025 returns. And for many of them, the discovery is a gut punch. Under standard IRS rules, Social Security benefits are taxable in the year you receive them. That rule has never had an exception for lump sums, which means the $6,710 that landed in your account, money that represents benefit increases stretching back to January 2024, is being treated by the IRS as income you received entirely in 2025. For beneficiaries who are already near the threshold where Social Security becomes taxable, that one-time spike can push a significant portion of their entire Social Security income into taxable territory, increase their federal tax bracket, and in some cases, trigger Medicare premium surcharges that will follow them for an entire year. For people who receive lump sums above the average, the impact is even sharper. Congress sees the problem. A bipartisan bill called the No Tax on Restored Benefits Act was introduced in February 2026, specifically to create a one-time exclusion for these retroactive WEP and GPO payments. Lawmakers are actively pushing to get it passed before the April 15th filing deadline so it can apply to 2025 returns being filed right now. The support is real and bipartisan. The original Fairness Act passed by overwhelming margins in both chambers, and members of both parties have described the tax hit as an unintended consequence that needs to be corrected. But, and this matters enormously if you are about to file, that bill is not law yet. The IRS has not issued any guidance changing how lump sum payments are reported, which means right now, today, you are required to report this money under current rules. Tax advisors working with affected retirees are recommending two things before April 15th. First, explore the lump sum averaging election available on Form 1040 for Social Security recipients, a calculation method that in some cases reduces the taxable amount using prior year income as a baseline. Second, do not file and forget. If the No Tax on Restored Benefits Act passes after your return is already submitted, an amended return may be available to you. And knowing that option exists before you file puts you in a better position to act on it quickly. Now let's talk about the people watching this who have not received anything yet, because that group is larger than most people realize, and for some of them, the reason has nothing to do with eligibility. I need to pause here before we get to what to do if you have not received your payment, because scammers were watching the same news you were when this story broke, and they have been running a very specific playbook ever since. A lump sum averaging $6,710 creates the perfect conditions for fraud. A large amount of money, a lot of confusion about who qualifies, and millions of people actively wondering whether their check is coming. That combination has generated a wave of calls targeting seniors and public sector retirees, with callers claiming to be from the Social Security Administration, telling beneficiaries their Fairness Act payment has been flagged, that their eligibility needs to be verified before the funds can be released, or that there is a processing fee required to unlock the lump sum. Every single one of those calls is a scam. The SSA does not call you to verify eligibility for a Fairness Act payment. The SSA does not charge processing fees. The SSA does not ask for your Social Security number, your banking details, or any personal information over an unsolicited phone call. If you receive a call like this, hang up immediately. Then go directly to SSA.gov and access your My Social Security account yourself, or call the SSA at the number you find on the official website, 1-800-772-1213. Please share this with any public sector retiree in your life, because this fraud is targeted specifically at this community right now. Now, if you have been waiting and nothing has arrived, here's the most important thing to understand. The absence of a deposit does not mean you do not qualify. It may mean your case is still being processed, your banking information on file is outdated, or you fall into a category that required a new application rather than an automatic adjustment. The first step is to log into your My Social Security account and SSA.gov right now. Check your current benefit amount and compare it to what you were receiving before February 2025. Look for any posted notices about the Fairness Act. If your benefit amount has increased and you can see a record of a one-time lump sum deposit, your case has been handled and the money is in your account or on its way. If your account shows no change and no notice, call the SSA directly at 1-800-772-1213, Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. Before that call, make sure your direct deposit banking information in your account is current, because a significant number of delayed cases came down to nothing more than an outdated account number. If you are a surviving spouse who was told years ago that the GPO reduced your survivor benefit to zero and you never received Social Security because of it, you may need to file a new application. This is not automatic. In some of these cases, an in-person visit to your local Social Security field office with documentation of the marriage and your spouse's Social Security record has been the fastest path to getting the claim processed. As of mid-2025, the SSA had received nearly 290,000 new applications from people in exactly this situation, and 92% of them had already been completed. The remaining 8% are complex cases that are still being worked through manually. If you are in that group, your payment is still coming, but following up directly is how you make sure it does not get delayed any further than it already has. Let's bring the 4 points together one final time. The Social Security Fairness Act eliminated two provisions, the WEP and the GPO, that had been quietly cutting Social Security benefits for public sector workers, their spouses, and their surviving spouses for decades. The repeal is retroactive to January 2024, and the SSA has been paying out lump sums averaging $6,710 ever since, with more than 3.1 million payments totaling $17 billion already distributed. You qualify if your government employment was not covered by Social Security taxes, and you have a Social Security entitlement through your own work history or through a spouse. You do not qualify simply because you worked in government. 72% of state and local government workers already pay into Social Security and are not affected by this law. The tax situation is real. Your lump sum is taxable as 2025 income under current IRS rules. The No Tax on Restored Benefits Act is moving through Congress and has genuine bipartisan support, but it has not passed yet. File based on current law. Explore the lump sum averaging election on your 1040, and talk to a tax professional before April 15th if you receive this payment. If you have not received your lump sum or monthly increase, start at SSA.gov, verify your account information is current, and call 1-800-772-1213 if nothing shows up. Surviving spouses who are affected by the GPO may need to file a new claim and visit a local SSA office in person. And if anyone calls you claiming to help you access or unlock a Fairness Act payment, hang up. That is a scam. Go directly to SSA.gov. This is the biggest Social Security story in years, and the people it was designed to help have waited long enough. If this video helped you figure out where you stand, share it with someone who spent their career in public service, because there are still people who have not connected the dots between their old pension and this new check. Subscribe so you never miss an update on Social Security, benefit changes, or anything that affects your income. We will see you in the next one.